Well, Ezra Miller is still in trouble. It turns out that video was no joke.
Learn it?
See?
You wanna fight?
Ezra Miller video, no joke. Serious altercation.
Whoa, bro.
So he got mad at that woman at this bar in Reykjavik, which was one that he apparently frequented quite a bit, and got mad, attacked her, and was removed from the premises. Meanwhile, this other little tidbit from John Francis Daly, and this, of course, is Cosmic Book News, detailing this, where he talks about his creative differences being his reason as to why he had left the movie. One of a couple of directors who had left the movie, and this seems to suggest that since he tweeted this now, that the creative differences was with Ezra. So here we go. Ezra Miller causing problems with the Flash movie. While not confirmed, it has been said that Ezra Miller has been a problem surrounding why the Flash movie has gone through so many directors, which is because Miller didn't like what said directors were going to do with the Flash. The theory is Miller didn't want the Flash to be like the goofy MCU version of Spider-Man. All right, now, I do agree with that point. Perhaps I'm in the minority on this, but the MCU Spider-Man films, I think, are crap. I don't like them. I liked him in Civil War, and then that's about it. That's not Spider-Man. If there was a lot of goofiness and silliness they wanted with the Flash, and it looked like, especially from the Justice League film, that they were setting up this thing where, Barry Allen is Peter Parker and Batman is Iron Man. And there's, but certainly the relationship of mentor to, the younger superhero and all of that, which could work fine. You don't have to copy top to bottom. So if that was his argument and that he didn't want to do a comedy superhero so much, I'm kind of on his side in that. Certainly he could be a funny character, but within a story that's, more serious. And, yes, the overused term of dark. But from what rumor-wise is what I'd hold, that he was more interested in that. He certainly was vocal about the concept of multiverse being a part of a story for the film. And that was always coming back to the Flashpoint version. So anyway, here we go. It's even known that Ezra Miller went out and got DC Comics writer Grant Morrison to pitch for the Flash, with Miller threatening to leave the role if Warner Brothers didn't accept their pitch. Maybe they should have took him up on that. Following the report of Miller and Morrison pitching their own version, it was announced that It director Andy Muschietti is on board to helm the flick, which will be a different take on the DC Comics story Flashpoint. So, full circle on that, because I believe it started out it was going to be Flashpoint. Then they sort of said no, and now they're back to being Flashpoint again. Regarding Ezra Miller and the altercation, the video shows Miller choking a woman. Yeah, jeez. But at the time it was trending on Twitter, the Twitterverse had voted thumbs down, as they're wont to do with so many, even their own, which is certainly the case with Ezra. He's canceled. And so then Grant Gustin was offered he would be, because as of now, and it's been even from before all of this, I would say that Grant Gustin is the better Flash of the two. Even though neither one of them is quite like the comic book version, and I don't just mean physical appearance, I certainly mean personality and what have you, but you can still get this. There's been some great episodes of The Flash, even for better. It's the best of the CW shows, because those great episodes are the ones that aren't like CW shows at all. But it suffers from the whole CW style and what have you, and it really drags it down. It's unfortunate, but he's the better Flash of the two. So he was the writer on Spider-Man Homecoming, so you can understand that there was probably some butting of heads, since they probably hired him to do a Marvelized version of a DC movie, and Ezra Miller wasn't on board with that. But it's this odd thing, like I keep coming back to. I kind of agree with him here. I wouldn't want to see just a Flash version of the MCU Spider-Man. That being said, because my problem with the Spider-Man movies is that it's not Spider-Man. It's not even recognizably Spider-Man. Certainly Peter Parker. That's not Peter Parker. That's not the story. None of it. Almost none of the elements are there. He has the costume, but that's about it. But the Flash, it's it's the same thing. He's not really the Flash. That's a lot of it. I mean, some of the elements are there, yes. I mean, good God, that outfit. Ooh, the Spider-Man outfit is way better than this. Jeez. I was hoping that maybe this was like a precursor, like he's working up to it, and maybe with Batman, he would give him a better suit. But there again, that's more like Tony Stark. Yeah, that's too much of a copy of it. So it's the same kind of problem that he's not quite the character, and maybe in Flashpoint he would become more like the comic book Flash. So it's this odd thing where I agree with him. I think, again, with the problem that I didn't have that big of a problem with his performance as the Flash and all that in the Justice League film, but people that probably are more invested in the Flash did. And so Spider-Man certainly was a big deal. I haven't read Spider-Man comics in a long time. I don't think they're very good. Well, although I did read Life of Spider-Man that Chip Zdarsky did, and I highly recommend it. It's very good. I really like that one. But anyway, so maybe it's just because I'm more invested in the character of Spider-Man than the Flash that it mattered more to me, and that's why I just couldn't bring myself to enjoy the MCU Spider-Man movies. So I'm more forgiving of the Flash. But I guess it doesn't matter because, well, I'm thinking he's done. So they have this problem going where of course, now Ezra Miller hasn't really had been a part of anything that can be called a hit as far as DCEU goes. Apparently he does very well in the Fantastic Beasts movies, which I know nothing about. But when it comes to the DCEU, he's not one of the big winners like Aquaman and Wonder Woman. Well, Aquaman's got a problem because his best gal, Mira, is played by Amber Heard, and now she's been exposed to be quite the fraud, where she utilized the Me Too movement to do damage to her ex-husband, Johnny Depp. And now it turns out, she was the actual abuser. Beyond pooping in his bed, she apparently chopped off his finger and beat him a couple of times. All that stuff. And meanwhile, fraudulently using Me Too, which is one of the criticisms of Me Too, was more about positioning people's power positions within Hollywood rather than helping anyone who suffered sexual harassment and even assault. Boy, oh boy, that's probably some ways, in a lot of ways, morality-wise and whatnot, far worse than a drunken Ezra attacking somebody. It's still pretty bad because it's a physical assault, but then again, she assaulted her husband, apparently several times. I mean, geez Louise, chopped off his finger, pooped in his bed. So, quite the mess. Yeah, quite the mess. A lot of poop in WB's bed here when they keep trying to get this franchise going, and then they gotta wake up in the morning and read something about this. So he might be done, but apparently he does have a lot of friends there. They seem to really like the guy. I'm not certain as to why, but then again, I know nothing about Fantastic Beasts. Maybe he's magnificent in that, and that's an important franchise to them. So short of an apology and whatnot, which those don't seem to carry much weight these days, I don't know. He may be done, and so will Amber Heard. Fine by me. I just want the film. So recast, It's not really going to end it for me. The Flash movie should have been done a long time ago, but this article seems to lean some amount of credence, especially in what's happened lately, and that he might have been the main problem with that. But there again, maybe he was right. Maybe the John Francis Daley version was silly crap, and he didn't want to do that. That might be. He may have been right, even though he's wrong here. obviously, in what he did to that woman. So, yeah, a lot of mess for WB. It just can't seem to catch a break. That's too bad. Thank you for watching and listening. Say, why not like and subscribe, and check out that link description below. That'll take you to my many stores that have plenty of goodies for you, especially my comic book Night Night over at IndiePlanet.com. Yeah, you want to check that out. And of course, you can catch my podcast, Mr Nailsin Show, over at RadioMisfits.com, and you can also watch my videos on BitChute.